Welcome back to Bible Quizzes. We have 35 more questions for you guys today, so let's get started. Question 1. Who was the man sent from God as a witness to testify concerning that light so that through him all might believe? John, Peter, or Paul? John. John 1:6. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light so that through him all might believe. 2. Where did Joseph stay with his father's family and live 110 years? Egypt, Philistine, or Babylon? Egypt. Genesis 50:22. Joseph stayed in Egypt along with all his father's family. He lived 110 years. 3. Who wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet? Solomon, Herod, or Darius? Herod. Matthew 14:5. Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet. 4. After blank days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. 5, 6, or 7? 6. Mark 9:2. After 6 days, Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him and led them up a high mountain where they were all alone. There he was transfigured before them. 5. What is the name of the prostitute by which the two spies stayed to her house? Rahab, Ruth, or Naomi? Rahab. Joshua 2:1. Then Joshua son of Nun secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of the prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. 6. Who was asked by the royal officials at the king's gate about why he disobeyed the king's command? Esther, Vashti, or Mordecai? Mordecai. Esther 3:3. Then the royal officials at the king's gate asked Mordecai, why do you disobey the king's command? 7. Where can we find this famous saying, the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing? Psalms 23:1, Proverbs 23:1, or Ecclesiastes 23:1? Psalms 23:1. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. 8. Who will rise at judgment with this generation and condemn it? King of the South, Queen of the South, or Prince of the South? Queen of the South. Matthew 12:42. The Queen of the South will rise at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for she came from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and now something greater than Solomon is here. 9. The law was given through blank, grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. Aaron, Moses, or Jacob? Moses. John 1:17. For the law was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. 10. Who said this? We saw someone driving out demons in your name and we told him to stop because he was not one of us. Matthew, Mark, or John? John. Mark 9:38. Teacher, said John, we saw someone driving out demons in your name and we told him to stop because he was not one of us. 11. Who called his sons and said, gather around so I can tell you what will happen to you in days to come? Jacob, Isaac, or Abraham? Jacob. Genesis 49:1. Then Jacob called for his sons and said, gather around so I can tell you what will happen to you in days to come. 12. Who saw that Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor? Haman, Jonathan, or Adar? Haman. Esther 3:5. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor, he was enraged. 13. Who got down of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus? John, Peter, or Luke? Peter. Matthew 14:29. Come, he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. 14. What is the particular place where the Lord dried up when they came out to Egypt? Jordan River, Nile River, or Red Sea? Red Sea. Joshua 2:10. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. 15. What happened to the Word and made his dwelling among us? Became flesh, became living water, or became living testimony? Became flesh. John 1:14. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. 16. I will give blank to the Lord because of his righteousness. Honor, thanks, or glory. Thanks. Psalm 7:17. I will give thanks to the Lord because of his righteousness. I will sing the praises of the name of the Lord Most High. 17. Who accompanied Abraham and walked faithfully with God? Isaac, Moses, or Jacob? Isaac. Genesis 48:15. Then he blessed Joseph and said, May the God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked faithfully, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this day. 18. Who found his brother Simon and told him, We have found the Messiah? Andrew, Matthew, or Luke? Andrew. John 1:41. The first thing Andrew did was to find his brother Simon and tell him, We have found the Messiah, that is, the Christ. 19. In the Pharaoh's dream, how many years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt? 7, 8, or 9? Seven. Genesis 41:29. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. 20. How many cubits distance should be kept between Israelites and the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord? 1,000, 2,000, or 3,000? (2,000). Joshua 3:4. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Do not go near it. 21. Who gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes? Queen Vashti, Queen Elizabeth, or Queen Deborah? Queen Vashti. Esther 1:9. Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. 22. What is the place where John is baptizing, which is on the other side of the Jordan? Bethany, Jerusalem, or Egypt? Bethany. John 1:28. This all happened at Bethany on the other side of the Jordan, where John was baptizing. 23. Joseph named his firstborn blank. It is because God has made him forget all his troubles and all his father's household. Manasseh, Ephraim, or Zacharias? Manasseh. Genesis 41:51. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh and said, It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household. 24. How many days did the spies hide to the hills so the pursuers will not find them? 3, 4, or 5? Three. Joshua 2:16. She said to them, Go to the hills so the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourselves there 3 days until they return, and then go on your way. 25. How many of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt? 9, 10, or 11? (10). Genesis 42:3. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. 26. How many men from the tribe of Israel are chosen to see the covenant of the Lord? 10, 11, or 12? 12. Joshua 3:12. Now then, choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. 27. John gave this testimony. He saw the blank come down from heaven as a dove and remain on him. Spirit, angel, or Jesus? Spirit. John 1:32. Then John gave this testimony. I saw the Spirit come down from heaven as a dove and remain on him. 28. What is the place where Moses fled when he heard that Pharaoh tried to kill him? Midian, Goshen, or Nineveh? Midian. Exodus 2:15. When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. 29. There will be blank in various places and famines, and these are the beginning of birth pains, earthquakes, rains, or wars. Earthquakes. Mark 13:8. Nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places and famines. These are the beginning of birth pains. 30. Who was the woman who had not revealed her nationality and family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so? Esther, Ruth, or Naomi? Esther. Esther 2:10. Esther had not revealed her nationality and her family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. 31. Blank, Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield. Promise, surely, or faithfully? Surely. Psalms 5:12. Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield. 32. Who was the man that stayed for 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish? Jonah, Hosea, or Ezra? Jonah. Matthew 12:40. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. 33. Who appeared in the wilderness, preaching a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sin? John the Baptist, Joshua, or Jacob? John the Baptist. Mark 1:4. And so John the Baptist appeared in the wilderness, preaching a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. 34. The law introduced blank years later does not set aside the covenant previously established by God and thus do away with the promise. 425, 430, or 435? 430. Galatians 3:17. What I mean is this. The law introduced 430 years later does not set aside the covenant previously established by God and thus do away with the promise. And 35. What is the name of the prophet who came down from Jerusalem to Antioch, prophesied that there will be a famine over Rome? Agabus, Judea, or Saul? Agabus. Acts 11:27-28. During this time, some prophets came down from Jerusalem to Antioch. One of them, named Agabus, stood up and through the Spirit predicted that a severe famine would spread over the entire Roman world. And that's all the questions we have for today. Remember, put your score down below in the comments and share this with your friends and family to compare your scores. And we'll see you in the next one.